What is going on, everybody? We're working on the Beastman Shaman today, and we're going to give him his highlights. So we'll probably put in about an hour on this, and hopefully that's enough to call him done. I don't know if we'll be finished in an hour, but we're going to give it a try. So if you're watching, please jump in the chat, ask me any questions. Also, let me know the microphone is working. It looks like it is, but you never know. So first, what I'm going to do, this is my wet palette I was using for my unmade. So there's all the flesh tones, basically, I was mixing around with. And I don't want to... I don't want to get a new piece of paper. So I'm going to just use a napkin and some water. And I'm just going to see if I can wipe up some of this. And if you remember, I painted these weeks ago. And this is, I mean, I didn't even re-add water until just a minute ago to this. To it still be this wet, even though it's not soaking wet. This much paint moving. It's pretty impressive with the wet palette, because a lot of this I could still use. You know, if I had a wet brush, I could pull up some of it. So obviously we're going to make a bit of a mess here, but it's fine, because we're just painting a Beastman. I just want to show you it's not a big deal. So we're just going to get the majority of this off. So just like 2 napkins worth of wiping. The colors actually on here. Actually, we'll do one more napkin after this, just to try to get. Seems like there was a lot of purple here. The colors actually on this palette are not terribly like far off from what I'm going to be using on the Beastman anyway. So, you know, kind of earth tones, cool colors, stuff like that. So I think it's going to be fine. The only downside is rubbing the napkins. You can see there's little bits of like cloth or paper, I guess, on there. But either way, it's fine. So there we go. That's the dirty palette we're going to be using, simply because I don't want to reset a new piece of palette paper. So it's pretty easy. We're going to build our little medium pot. If you hear that, that's just me blowing air into the top of this water bottle cap to make sure any dust gets out. And I'll show you how I'm going to do this again. So this time we're going to go with Ultra Matte Varnish. Do a little more. I think I'm going to be using quite a bit of GW paint, so I'm going to be using Lamia Medium. This is the only GW paint I've actually transferred its bottle to a dropper. So we'll do some of that, Lamia Medium. And we'll do a touch of Flow Improver. Just a few drops. And then this is just distilled water. Maybe a little more. Okay, so that's going to be our water pot. Get kind of a beat up brush here to stir that up. Normally I just stir it up with whatever brush, but it actually is a good habit to use like a beat up brush. So there we go. This is our catch-all miscellaneous paint medium. We'll use this to thin paint. We'll use this to keep our brush damp. And I got some dirty water over on the side here to rinse my brush. And I'm just actually going to just put that right on the palette there. So I think we'll get started with the skin. Still not 100% sure how bright I want to go with the cape. What up, Zane? Let me know if the microphone's working. Oh my lord. I mentioned in the last stream that I hate when there's holes, because then you gotta stab your brush in there, and somehow I missed part of his leg. Hold on, I'm gonna use this Sigmar brown. Yeah, Zane, let me know if you can hear me, just so I can make sure this is working. I'm just gonna go Sigmar brown, just because it's a dark color, and at this point I don't even want to see that spot I apparently missed. So if I can just gob some of this brown in there, hopefully it disappears and we never think of it again. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so there we go. Awesome. So yeah, I don't know if you caught the other one, Zane, but we were trying to do him real quick, and basically I had so much fun just building up shadows and stuff on him that we're going to do the highlights now. So I think this Scrag Brown is going to be the winner. So his skin tone was kind of that Griff Charger orange mixed with I think Agrex Earthshade, some other washes put on him. So let's go Scrag Brown. I'm going to use a dirty brush here. I'm going to load up part of my wet palette. And I'm going to get, I think we need a darker brown too. We'll go dark flesh tone here, Game Air. So I don't know if I'm going to need that one, but I don't even know if it's dark enough really. I'm also going to put some pure black on the palette just in case I need to use some black. And I'm going to put some pure white on the palette just in case I need to use some white. And actually, I should not have done that with the white. I should go with a like a neutral color. So, and I know we'll probably need this one too. So I'm going to put bone white out there too. Game here. So we got pure white. We got this kind of ivory bone white. Now, obviously, there's going to be all kinds of interesting mess happening with the dirty palette paper that I'm using, but we're going to make it work. It's going to be fine. This color looks nice too, sand or ivory, and I think we might be able to do something with the horns on that one. So, all right, I think we're going to go Ghost 1 here, size 1. It's a nice pointy one. Oh, you know what? One more color. I'm going to put out 2 more colors. Jakiro Orange. I don't know if I'm going to need that. And Tuskagore Fur, which I'm thinking might be useful on his face. Maybe his ears. So I think what the plan is to just use these paints thinned out and highlight just the top of him and try to leave underneath really dark. So an example of that, let's make sure he's, I guess maybe we start with the face. So I'm going to soak my brush in our little medium here. And let's take some of this Tuskagore Fur, some Jakiro Orange, and some of that Scrag Brown. And maybe a touch of that bone color. Yeah, this might be a problem with the this like purple tone covering my palette. But because it's covering everywhere, it's gonna I was gonna say infect, but it's gonna kind of taint all the colors equally. So even if it's not giving us the exact color we want, at least it's going to give us color harmony because all the colors are getting hit by it. That's cool. Let's try to get a bunch of that Tuscarora fur and just see if that's red enough or pink enough for his lip. And I think his nose could be a little pink too. Like a bunny rabbit. Alright, yeah. That's fine. I think we need to lighten that up a bit though. So let's take some of this bone white and mix it in with our Jakiro orange and Scrag brown there. And I'm just trying to hit some of these fleshy areas to bring out the volumes of his face. And let's take a little bit of that. Let me see if I can get that on camera. A little bit of that in this. Oh. Alright, I'm not as accurate tonight as I need to be. I'm gonna erase that. Try to get that on his shoulder in there. The Kickstarter shipping is going. It's still not as fast as I thought it would be at this stage. I was hiring somebody to help me with some boxes and stuff, and then they got a job, so they didn't, kind of fell through. So I'm still just doing it on my own, which is fine, but thought I would be a little farther along than I am. But I think that's a good reason to start why, I started early, because you never know, things might come up. So since I started shipping early, we got got some time to figure it out. I still want to try to get everybody's out before October. So what we're doing here is just kind of using that same flesh tone and just kind of highlighting his fingers and hands. His hands are actually got this kind of fiery orange color still from the orange wash. So they actually look pretty good. So I'm trying to leave some of that. So yeah, we'll just keep working along. Maybe mix variations of this color. I'll probably bring some more of that pink back in when I do like the elbows. And I'm still kind of doing my tap highlight, where I'm just kind of bouncing the brush over the surfaces. And like I said, I'm going to try to be pretty careful to leave underneath dark. So dark, and then he's going to be light from above. So a perfect example of that is I'm going to highlight the top of his knee here. But I'm not even going to highlight any of this bottom part where this knee underneath is turned to underside, turn into shadow. Get the top of his calf. Use my finger to blend it back out a little bit. And I know for sure I'm gonna hit that kneecap with some of the more pink. Yeah, this knee here will, and thigh. Give it a little bit more of a highlight. But that's it. Yeah, I think that's about all we need to do for his skin. Let's take a little bit more of our medium. We'll go back into this kind of pinker color, the Tuscarora fur. Make sure these knees and elbows are a little redder. Sometimes when you have like a, I may put a little bit of red back into his hand there too. When you have kind of that bone pushing up against the skin, like an elbow, a knuckle, a knee, ankle bones, stuff like that, it can be pretty nice to just add that little touch of like a red tint to your paint. Sells a little bit more of the kind of realism, or adds in a little bit of variation. I know I haven't been doing this quite as much lately, Zane, but don't worry, you haven't missed the big guy if you're still wanting to watch me paint this guy. I'm trying to finish a few things before I can just jump into him and focus just on him, from start to finish. So I got some deepkin models I'm trying to speed paint a bit, and wanted to finish up this guy here. Let's see if we can't mix some of this darker color with some of this ivory color. I don't know if that's quite bright enough. I don't know if it's bright enough, but it's different enough that we can use it to highlight his horns a bit. And I'm just doing it the same as normal, as I just kind of tap at it. The model doesn't, as long as it has texture, your eye fills in that it's the correct texture. So it's fine. And maybe we'll use this on his teeth. I think I'm going to go quite a bit brighter and just try to get his teeth to pop. Oop. Oh, that was dumb. It doesn't matter. So I kind of cleaned my brush a little bit right there in the medium, but that's fine. If you watch me paint, usually I don't mind the colors mixing with each other, especially not when I'm using the wet palette. In fact, I'm using the wet palette strategically because I want the colors to be mixing with each other. If I didn't want the colors to mix with each other, I could go one by one and paint the colors separate. But that's not what I'm trying to do. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I haven't been painting quite as much either. Not as much as I should be. This month I've been trying to work out a whole bunch. And I've been extra tired, unfortunately. I'm going to take a little bit of that black paint and just reinforce. Or this is the black paint mixed with some of that brown, but I'm using it as like a black liner. Just try to create a little bit of separation from some of these spots. This line probably could have been a little thinner, but that's okay. This guy is just for Warcry. And then when me and my buddies are done playing Warcry, he probably goes up for sale. That's probably the plan. So I think, what do we got? Maybe we can mess around with some of that white and bone color to it's almost got a, oh my god, I got a little too much paint on my brush. It's got a little bit of a pinkish tone. Just adding a little interest to the skull. I don't know if this is necessarily adding anything positive, but it's adding. So, whatever. Did you pre-order the Indominus box set? I got I'm not playing 40k 9th edition until either the Eldar or Admech get a new codex, because I sold my 8th edition books, which I'm really glad I did. I'm going to add a little bit more pink and white to his lip here and maybe his nose. So because I'm going to sit on the sidelines basically, oh, I should add that kind of pink white color here to his ears too. Because I'm going to sit on the sideline for 9th edition until my armies I play get a new codex. I'm not overly pumped or anything about the new edition. I think Crusade's going to be really fun to play with some friends, play a campaign of that. But as far as the whole edition change, I'm just not jumping into it right away, unless they're going to crank out the codexes fast. But it seems more likely that it's going to be a little while before, you know, armies get their new codexes. So worst case scenario, I mean, if Eldar and AdMech don't get a new book for a year, then I'm not playing 40k for a year. Now there's obviously some things that could change that, but one thing that's funny is I've also had this terrible idea to buy up some of those Necromunda Khador models. I have quite a few of them. I have 3 boxes. But I've been thinking about, it would look so cool to do a Khador Necromunda looking like either Imperial Guard or Sisters of Battle army. Probably actually look better as Sisters of Battle. So, some Exorcists and Immolators, and then all the Sisters of Battle. Instead of using them, I'll use the Khador models. Which, I do think would look awesome, but I really don't think I need another 40k army in my life. Maybe if I had already sold my Tyranids and my... Oh, this is going to be rough. I'm going to maybe try to dot the I's here. I got it. This one's... that one's a little too tucked under that hood. So I think we're just going to ignore that one. Yeah, so part of me, I want to sell off a couple of my armies. I know I'm gonna, I just haven't got around to really putting in the effort. But I'm going to keep the AdMech and the Eldar. I'm going to sell the Imperial Knights, the Space Marines, the... whatchamacallit, Tyranids. And then I was going to sell the iGuard, but I might just sell, half of it. And then I've really been thinking about this damn Khador army. I think I'm going to sell... Oh, sorry, I got the hiccups. I think I'm going to sell like half my Eldar, too. When I was buying up the Eldar... Yeah, when I was buying up the Eldar, I definitely... Sorry, hold on. I'm just kind of looking at colors here. When I was buying up the Eldar, I definitely was going for the... I'm going to buy 3 of everything, and I'm going to have 30 of all the troops and 30 of all the units, so I could max out 9 Warwalkers if I want, 9 Vipers, 3 max squads of jet bikes, that sort of idea. Like, I'll have the max of everything with the rule of 3, the biggest, most complete collection of Eldar, and then that way, whatever army I want to play, I could build, and eventually I'll have it all painted. But now, I've only painted the Swooping Hawks and the Dire Avengers, and that's just not going to happen. I just don't care enough. And there's no reason why I would ever need 30 Fire Dragons or 30 Howling Banshees or anything like that. So I think what I'm actually going to do is maybe build, once I see maybe some new points, maybe build a couple Eldar army lists and pull those models out and then sell the rest. Now, obviously, it's going to take time to sell it all, so I'm not going to be in any rush, like just dumping it off, selling it for cheap. I'll try to get a fair price, but I think I'm going to shrink down that army quite a bit. I think we're going to somewhat highlight this cape with Thunderhawk blue. Oh, it's kind of bright. Let's try some. Come on. Let's try. I'll put some Thunderhawk blue on the palette up here. Put a decent amount. It's actually a really nice desaturated blue. But we're going to desaturate it a little more. So I think I'm going to add some of this kind of brown color into it. I think that was Burn Flesh or something it was called. There we go. I think that's reasonable. We'll see. Let's try it out here on the shoulder. No, not really. Got a little too dark here. Let's bring some of this blue back in. And some of this kind of bone color. That should be good. Kind of touch it on my glove to see what it's maybe going to do when I touch the model. And I'm doing the same thing as I'm going to try to tap it on here to create texture. Kind of following the grooves and whatnot of the highlights where they would maybe go, but this isn't, you know, a hard, sharp piece of armor. So it doesn't need like a super sharp edge highlight. I think that's okay. I don't know if it's quite a big enough jump, but I think it's going to be a good first highlight. After looking at the model, I probably should have added some variation into these different patchwork of materials that are stitched together, plus this kind of hood color almost has a pretty, you know, obvious line that it's a separate piece or a different fabric even maybe. Which I could still do. I could maybe using like some washes or glazes, I could actually adjust the panels a bit. So right now we're just adding in a rough, almost like textural highlight. And you can see I'm not being... I should have filled this little line in with some putty or something. It's a little rough. But you can see I'm not being overly accurate or cautious. I'm kind of just tapping it in, as Happy Gilmore would say. And trying to keep somewhat of that directional light from above still hopefully obvious. I'm going to lighten this edge by just running the brush down there. That's mostly just because I want to separate that as like this is the lighter side and in there's dark. Now this highlight's not overly bright, so we can actually afford to put a little bit of this in some of the darker areas. So I'll do that down here to just make this kind of loincloth pop a little bit. And I noticed I missed some of the bones. And I'll actually apply it on his chest part, if we can see that. Okay, that's good. I'm going to use this bone color to this is not sculpted the best. This is an older sculpt, so this bone is pretty soft as far as detail. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. Just make sure you can see them in there. I got my Space Marines. I only got the Primaris guys, and a lot of them are painted. So I'm actually excited to try and sell them for a bit of a profit, just on eBay or whatever. You know, I'd like to hopefully the time I spent at least painting that army will be recouped a bit financially. That's one of the things too, like on army like my AdMech. It's a big, fully painted army. But man, if I could sell it at a nice profit, I think I'd get rid of them. I've honestly played them all through 8th edition, and I had a lot of fun. And I don't know. I think I could let them go. There we go. Now this next highlight, I think will be a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more in the Thunderhawk blue. Try to bring back some of that blue. Go quite a bit lighter in our bone color. And this one will try to reinforce that the light is just shining on them from above. Still going to tap it on because I just don't have time or care to sit here and edge highlight a whole cape. I think this looks better anyway. So I am gonna. This is purely for got a little bit on his forearm there, but that's okay. We haven't highlighted that yet. I'm gonna put some on this chest piece, but that's purely cosmetic, and that's just because I want that piece to pop a little bit to frame his head. But normally, I think I would just leave that. And I'm not gonna go all the way down the cape. And we'll go quite a bit down on this bigger part there, but because that's turned quite a bit upward towards the sun or the moon. But like down here on the side, I'm just going to leave that dark. And I see a giant cricket walking by my feet. I'm forever in this battle with the crickets. Don't know why they're having such an easy time getting into my apartment, but they are. I'm trying to catch and release like 5 to 10 crickets a day, which is becoming very irritating. So I think I need to get a bug man. Normally I would stop what I'm doing and capture that cricket, but I don't want to pause the stream for cricket hunting, but I might have to. I'm actually still going to highlight quite a bit down the side here because I want that light line just when you're looking at them from this kind of angle. I want that white line or brighter highlighted line to show like the sunlight is stopping there and then down in there is dark. And I'll get the top of this hole. Pretty good. And I think we'll go a little bit brighter. One more step. We're going to just really selectively put this on only the top. Frame his face with it a little bit. Separate the cape from the fur a little bit. Be pretty careful not to bring this all the way down though. We're saying like these are speckles of almost bright sunlight. But I think I'm still gonna go a little farther down right there than I normally would. And we might even go a little bit down there too. Cool. All right, that looks like a pretty good looking cape. Yeah, what the heck? Let's go one more, even brighter. Since this is the only guy I'm working on and I'm only going so long tonight. I'm gonna be really pretty selective with the way of this one. Let me see the chat here. Yeah, it seems like you're always working on Marines. Weren't you painting a whole Marine army? Or is it the same army? Probably same army. I guess it hasn't been that long. Only a couple... Well, I don't know. It's probably been about a month, huh? Since I did the Unmade Warband. Dang, I'm not getting stuff painted very fast if it's already... maybe even been a month. So there we go. You can hopefully kind of see the kind of now it has a more maybe natural light to dark kind of blend or fade, but I didn't blend or fade anything. I just tapped at it with some gray blues and there we go. I don't know if I'm going to do it on stream, but there is a ton of like stitching on this guy, so it might be kind of boring to watch. But I guess I'm going to have to choose a color and hit all that stitching on that cape. Oh yeah, I've never bought. I think if you're buying painted models, I wouldn't worry as much about matching it and just enjoy that you have some cool different looking units. I'm trying to actually even get away from. I just think army painting's not for me anymore. So I'm actually like even with the Eldar, I plan on doing a lot of different colors for even normal stuff instead of just trying to match everything to one unified scheme, which would be like very common in like a 40k army or a fantasy army. But I'm getting kind of tired of doing it, so that's why I've been loving the Warcry, painting up the models and all different schemes and stuff. Like these guys here, I'm working on the Deepkin, just trying to block in like some base tones, and then I'm gonna oil wash them. And I do have like a character or two that are kind of going to be in the same scheme, but when I work on the eels or the sword fighters, I might not. I might just go different. Like, because it's kind of back to the idea that maybe one day I'll sell them. So these 10 archers are all going to be the same looking as a squad. Because then when I go to sell it in the future, if I decide I don't want to play Deepkin and Warcry anymore, then I'll have a full Age of Sigmar squad that I can sell. And then I could sell the swordsman as a full squad, but I don't have to. I get the joy of painting them different and just trying different things. So I don't know if that made sense, but with like this guy, it's fun. You just get to try whatever you want. No real right or wrong answer. I think let's. I'm gonna go with a little bit of this iron rack skin. Just a little bit, and I'm gonna get the size 1 Ghost dry brush. So there's the Ghost dry brush still holding up good. Completely dry right now. And I probably should have like a piece of cardboard. Let me see if I have one. I don't think I have one nearby, so just do on the paper towel here. So there you go. Put a little paint on, and we're gonna work it in. Rub off the excess. Maybe check it on our hand. And I think I'm gonna hit some of these little rocks. Pull a little bit of detail out of our little base here. Cool. Nothing too crazy, just I'm gonna leave under here dark though to help continue selling that maybe there's sunlight above him that's lighting him up. Yeah, probably should get this back a little bit better. I think I'm even just maybe gonna ignore the hooves and just leave them. The hooves are basically just dark browns from the contrast and washes and stuff. So there we go. That's the iron rack skin. Get my dry brush swish around in the water. Try to get any paint off. What color? This color? Sure. Pull out a little bit of this sand ivory color again. And I'm going to go back to the size 1. Oh, where did I put that size 1? Over here. Oh, yeah, that's true. If you just have the whole army painted by one person and then you're just adding one model, yeah, that almost, if you're going to have a mix, it's better to commit to it from the beginning. Just going to try to highlight this rope a little bit here. Being pretty sloppy with the highlight. I don't think it matters. I can't honestly I think that, okay, I guess maybe the rope is tied around his top of his head too. Which means, all right, change of plans. We're going over to this darker brown color. Just because the rope is way too close in color to the skeleton that I was trying to paint. I'm gonna add this darker brown onto it. And then I already know what I'm gonna do is actually just hit it with its own a wash. Try to mostly avoid the skull and let it pool around where the straps are to help separate it from the skull. This is jet exhaust. I'm not even going to pour it out because it sometimes accumulates right up there in the little shaker spot. And we'll just hit this single metallic area on this model. Yeah, I think that's all the metallics on him. Cool. Now we need like a red brown. What do we got? Let's go with this one. Beastie brown. Let's see what this looks like. Nope. I don't want that one. Let's go with the red terracotta. Yeah. Well, you can buy my fully painted AdMech army, but it's not going to be cheap. I think honestly it would, I think I'd have to get like 2,000 for it. We're going to mix that red terracotta with this brown and just see what happens. Not mad at it, so we'll just use that, I guess. as kind of the highlight to our leather bracer here, which I don't love. Partially because it doesn't pop out far from the fur, but it's okay. You know, maybe, let's see, dead flesh. It's kind of a green. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. No, I don't. I don't like it, but let's mix it in and see if we can get something going that we like. Mix it with some of this Jakiro orange, Scrag brown area. Don't hate it. Put some little highlights on his fur, I guess. Maybe on his chin. I'm just adding a little bit of detail to this kind of fur. It's not super important. Problem is its highlight color is a little similar to the bones and stuff I've already painted. Yeah, it's alright. It looks good enough. You know, maybe let's darken it a little bit, but maybe, can we see that? I'm just going to put a little bit on the fur by the hooves to just separate the hoof from the hair just a little bit. So I'm not trying to build up a full highlight because these should be in shadow pretty good, but just doing it so there's a little bit more clear separation. Yeah, part of me, when I think about my ad mech, I'm like, oh, if I could get $2,000 for it, I think I'd just sell it. Instead of working on finishing painting up the rest of the units I gotta paint for them, it seems like it'd be easier to just sell it. But I mean, I do like them, so it's kind of just one of those things, I guess. But you've watched me enough. Heard me ranting. I'm always thinking about selling stuff. I don't know. I just like the idea of having quite a bit less stuff. Maybe approaching that idea of like most of my models are painted, and when I pick something to paint, it's either just painting it to sell or adding stuff to an army slowly over time. Actually, that's kind of funny. If I did sell it and started a new AdMech army, I mean, I could build a really pretty different AdMech army because I don't have any of the new transports or new flyers or any of the new horsey guys or anything like that. Just mixing up some mud here, trying to change this tone to something else. Take all that green color we pulled up. Alright, I don't think I hate that. Maybe we can hit some of these little stitchings. Oh, I don't really like these little stitchings. Actually, are going to look pretty sloppy. Once they're highlighted. Ugh. This isn't working very well. Well, what we'll probably have to do is hit them with like a wash. Yeah, oh well. Don't love it. It's mainly because I don't know if this is like a 90s model, early 2000s. But the detail, it just isn't super crisp. Some of these stitches. Also, I bought this model used, and he was already had some kind of thick paint on him, and I just cleaned the mold lines and primed right over it. I didn't strip him or nothing. So that might be adding to the softness of these stitchings. I don't know. I don't think it adds anything to it, but maybe it's not that bad. Just to pull out some of the detail of that stitching, but maybe not make it overpowering. And he's got stitching on this too. Ugh, that doesn't look right either. All right. Let's see if we can't take maybe some of this, some of this kind of orange color. Just gonna add a little bit of texture on the stick. And we'll do it again just down the side. Just a little bit. Give it a little something. Let's try Baneblade Brown. I think I'm going to take my most beat up brush. Rub it off onto this. And kind of stab at some of these flatter rocks. Need a little bit more. Yeah, actually, I mean, I have a ton of AdMech too, so that could even be something like build kind of some of the newer kits and maybe sell some of the older ones just so the army feels a little new again. But I don't know, I'm pretty happy working with trying to play some Eldar again. And I really have this dumb idea to do this Khador, Sisters of Battle, or Imperial Guard Force. Dumb meaning just, I think it would look really good, but dumb meaning I really shouldn't be buying another 40k army. And especially not one that's going to be some big hobby project that I'm going to be converting. I mean, I'm not going to be like converting all the Khador guys to hold bolt guns or nothing like that, but I would just, you know, they would be holding whatever they came with, but kind of counts as bolters for their equipment. But they do actually have like heavy flamers and stuff. Jam Jar 34, what's going on, man? Yeah, we're doing the Beastman Shaman here. He's looking. So I think he looks pretty good. I just think he looks a little. I mean, he looks a little, I don't know, monotone, or he's a little too maybe desaturated. So he has kind of a sense of realism, and without having, the only other way to kind of change that would be to go way more vibrant on the cape. But I think he's okay just being a kind of more realistic looking Beastman Shaman. I don't know, not realistic, but you know, just kind of that desaturated, more natural tones. I'm going to take out the old Agrax Earthshade here. See if we can't. Let's get out the teeny tiny little wash brush I like to use. This is like a little, I think it's a makeup brush. See if we can't dirty up this metal and this rope. like I said here, I'm gonna kind of gob it on so it really pools around the edges of this rope. Hopefully really separate like the rope from the skull there. And you know, I might actually put it back in his face a little bit, try to darken that up. Maybe even a little bit in here. There we go, add a little contrast back to that. Maybe try to use this to see if we can't darken where the horns meet the hair. Try to add a little separation. Cool. He's got these little bones on his tunic thing, cloak. Put the agrax in there just to liquid talon it up. Get some shading on it. I'm going to use this to put a dark spot under everywhere he's touching the stick. So you see under that hand, and then under where the cape is touching. That'll help sell any kind of shadow effect that we were going for. I think I might take even some of this too and kind of reestablish, if possible, some of the darker areas in the base around his hoof. It's a good way to kind of add weight to the model, is basically put some wash. Oh, that was probably too much, but yeah, we can just use it and push it around. Basically, by putting wash where his foot meets the ground, it's kind of giving the illusion of a cast shadow. Gives him weight. And I don't know. We'll go over the stitches with the agrax, but I'm not gonna pool it up too crazy. This is gonna leave it as a weird, different finish. But once he's matte coated, I'll be fine. Yeah, I almost liked it better when I didn't do anything with the stitching. That's okay. There is one thing though. I think, oh, a little more there. Definitely gonna put it along this line here, and I'm really gonna try to go heavy. Try to create a separation between that kind of cloak or hood part and where it meets the cape part, since I did them in the same color. Oh yeah, we gotta get this wacky leather bracer thing. All right. You know what, maybe... No, I think they're dark enough. I was going to say maybe a little bit in the ears, but I think they're dark enough. This like bump or whatever on his back, I have no idea if that's supposed to be cape. It looks like the cape's ripped around it, but it doesn't have the same texture as his hair, so I don't know what that is, but I just treated it like his hair. So there we go with the cape, with the stitching. Agrax Earth shaded. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I kind of was just doing the cape blue or whatever, and then I kind of afterwards thought, you know, maybe he should have some different patchwork together, and that actually would have been a way to add a lot more color into the model. I still technically could, is because I could take washes and like slightly adjust patches by like putting a red wash there and a green wash there and a yellow, you know, that kind of thing, or glazing with like contrast colors, but I think I'm okay with it just being this kind of blue jean kind of material. The cape's mostly this Griff Charger gray and Thunderhawk blue, and then I think I washed it with like a mix of like blue tone and something else. Or you know what I think I did is I think I did the gray hot Griff Charger gray contrast, and then I think I also, while it was still wet, used the blue tone. And then maybe even I used, what else did I use? I think maybe I even used this Death Shroud Clear. If you watch the previous video, you can actually see the cape shadows all getting painted in. And this is kind of the highlight video. Oh, totally forgot these little, I hate this little pot closing on me all the time. Forgot these little stitchings. I think I'm happy with that. I think he's done. This is literally just an ally for my Warcry team. And I think he's good to go. He doesn't show up super crazy because he's not, basically he probably doesn't have bright enough or vibrant enough colors or highlights, so he's pretty neutral looking. I honestly think he looks good. I think he's going to look very poor in not good lighting. Like this is him under really bright lights, so you can see his details and stuff. But like if I turn off my big light, well, can't see anything then. Let me see if I can just put a shadow over him. I don't know. He's not super popping, basically. He doesn't have like a crazy pop to him. What I could have done is I could have went more vibrant in the blues, or in some areas went more vibrant in the blues. But honestly, I don't think he looks bad. I think the base could have some more color, some tufts or something on it. I'm gonna paint the rim of his base and just call it a day for him. And then maybe we'll go back and do something later. But it's about 3:05 right now, so I would like to try to get to bed. Basically, I'd like to be asleep within the next 2 hours if possible. Got some weird apartment inspection, I guess. And they said they couldn't access my apartment today, which was weird because I was home all day. But I was asleep in my bedroom, and they have a key, I'm pretty sure, to just come in, because on the paper it said, if you don't have to be here for the inspection, but you can if you choose to be. Well, I was here sleeping. Now my bedroom door was locked, which is really weird because I'm wondering if that means they came in to do the inspection, couldn't get into my bedroom because the door was locked, and then left a note saying they couldn't do the rest of the inspection. But that would mean they came into my house, potentially knocking, maybe even knocking on my bedroom door, trying to open it, or came into the living room area, and I didn't even wake up. That would be crazy, right? If somebody came, if they came in and I didn't even wake up to the inspection or whatever. I figured when they got here I would just wake up and, they would walk around and do whatever they got to do. I don't know what an apartment inspection is. I think it's just to make sure you're not, breaking holes in the walls and stuff. But anyway, in my mind, I think they came here today, and I literally slept through it, which is almost kind of crazy, thinking I could sleep through some random people being in my house or my apartment. So they're coming back between 9 and 11, so I'd like to get... If I go to sleep at 5, I think I can just set my alarm for 9 o'clock, get 4 hours of sleep, wait till they get here, and then when they leave, go back to sleep. So... Yeah, this model's for my unmade warband, so he's going to be my ally, Beastman Shaman. I got this guy. I actually don't have him in my warband yet, but I wanted to paint him. I got this guy in my warband right now. One of my warbands. I'm playing 3 different warbands in our campaign because it's the only game we get to play because I have a small table, so a couple friends come over on Saturday and we game just playing a Warcry. So I got 3 warbands going, but my unmade, I got this guy as an ally, and then I got the Beastman Shaman. Potentially I can fit him in my warband now, so I just got a new territory. So I'm going to have to add up some points and see if I can get him. I got a Goblin Warband I've been just piddling along on, nothing too crazy. And I don't think... you haven't seen... I haven't put up the pictures yet. Let me grab them. This will probably be it for the night here. But, oh, almost knocked him over. I'll show you here the unmade guys now that they're based. So I got these guys are all painted on stream mostly. Put some kind of blood effects, but I tried not to be too crazy with it. But I put it on his foot, like he just ran through it. I didn't put any of the blood on the models besides their feet, so I didn't splatter their weapons or nothing. Which I think would look good too. I don't know. I've been doing these kind of more subtle desaturated paint schemes. So him, I put a little bit of that gloss blood on his face, and then he's got it on the base there. These guys I actually ended up... So I didn't use my mixture up here, which is my matte medium flow improver. I didn't use it quite as much on the Beastman. I mean, I did, but on these guys I used it a lot, so I'm actually going to leave that. They're got enough of that matte mixed into their own paint. That way I can leave the bases blood red there. This guy came out really cool, I think. He was my plan. I was going to do this kind of mustard yellow clothing, and then it turned out all of them are actually just wearing like skin stitched together. And you can see on this guy here, like, yeah, so his like cape or whatever is just, or his skirt, it's like just skin stitched together, kind of like how this Beastman. And actually, I could have done this Beastman's cape exactly like how I did these guys' capes, because they have the stitching too. So that would have been a idea. Not terrible. But since he's just a generic Beastman Shaman and he's not always going to be their ally. So, but yeah, I ran, because I wanted the yellow, I didn't really have good places to put it, so I did their kind of yellow lemon heads. But I don't know. I think it came out cool. I don't really get what the yellow helmets are, but helps them match the leader. So yeah, I think they're looking good. I think the Beastman ally's looking good. Maybe we'll even do a little bit of blood on his base too. Yeah, there he is. Not too bad for a kind of low res looking model. He doesn't have a crazy amount of detail. Like I said, part of that is probably because I just primed over the paint that the guy I got him from already had him painted, so, or, you know, quite a bit of paint on him, and I just primed straight over it and started over. So probably lost some detail there, but I think that's it for tonight, guys. I'm gonna try and wind down and get some sleep before I figure out what an apartment inspection is. Thank you so much for watching. I think hopefully I can do, I don't know, I think I can probably gloss coat these guys, and maybe if I gloss coat them tomorrow, I'll be able to oil wash them on Friday. I want to try some oil washes with them. Kind of a heavy oil wash to darken them up and then just pull out the highlights. So they're just kind of base coated, but I got 10 of them ready, plus a character or two. I mean, just pretty generic base coat. This guy especially, like, I don't know what to do really yet, so I just hit all his armor silver, painted his little cloak red, and then I'll just probably hit him with the oil wash and then pick out everything afterwards. So I think that'll be cool. And yeah, I think after I finish some of those Deepkin guys, is I think on to this bad boy. I don't know. We're just playing here, trying to get some stuff done in quarantine now that I'm not going as crazy painting as I was at the start. I got this guy here to ally in with my Goblin Warband in Warcry. The Loon Boss, he's going to be fun to paint. I think I'll probably do him like dirty metallics, something like that. He's a really cool model. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Please subscribe and like the video. Leave any questions or comments in the comment section. I always reply. If you want to buy some ghost paint brushes, there's a link in all of my videos to my eBay listing. They are for sale. And also there's links to hobby stuff you can buy online. And they're affiliate links, so I get a little bit of a kickback from Amazon if you buy something. Thank you guys so much. Adios.